I've laid out the 4 pieces of fabric in a pinwheel, and now I'm going to flip them over and put good side to good side into L shapes, and I'm going to sew the short end on each. These are the 2 pieces I Sashiko stitched earlier and dyed with a combination of food plant-based materials and black tea. Well, that part was done, ripping out the 3 stitches at the end. So now I've got to add them back in and cut my thread and knot both ends of it. This is different than when I was doing the decorative stitching. I do need to put knots into the piece so that the threads don't come apart. And that's, again, because of the filling and how sturdy this needs to be if it's going to be knocked around as a beanbag, played as a game, or stabbed at with pins if it's used as a pin cushion. And so here I am doing an end stitch, nice and tight. I've cut the thread off so that there's about 2 inches left, and I'm easily able to tie 3 little knots at the end of each time I start and end a little sewing row. So we've got 1, we've got 2, and we've got the 3rd one. And then I feel confident to be able to cut it off right at the very end so that there's no threads hanging. Pull it out nice and tight. So that's what the seam's going to look like on the outside. Then I'm going to cut this one off at 2 inches. So on both sides, there'll be 3 knots holding the ends together. So we're going in for 1, for 2, and for 3. And again, I'll cut it off right at the edge so there's no thread hanging, no loose ends. And so this one's done, and now I've got this one. And I'll do the same thing. So we'll speed things up. And I'm starting strong again, leaving the 2 inches. And then now we speed things up. Checking the back to make sure that the line of stitches that I'm doing is close to the edge so I don't have to rip them out again. It was a good lesson to learn on the first one. Now I'm at the end. I'll make 1 back stitch in and tighten 1 knot that way, and then I'll be able to cut the end at 3 inches, and here we go with that 1, 2, 3 knot at the other end where we left about 2 inches when we started. So that we can cut it right close to the end with no strings hanging. 2 inches cut, and now 1, 2, 3. And I can come in and cut it close to the edge again. So we have 2 pieces sewn and ready to sew more edges together. This has to come together to form a ball. So we've just begun. I've put the 2 sewn pieces now back into the pinwheel formation so that we can see where we need to sew next. And here we are, sewing down the 2 seams, putting the 2 end pieces together so that we've got a nice crisscross, and also both sides separately so that I can get 2 knots on either end. So very quickly I'm threading my needle again and ready to start on the first section. And I'll get my needle in there, pull it through, and leave about 2 inches so that I'm able to do those 3 knots at the start. And I'll sew my way through that section very quickly until I get to the end. And again, when I get to the end, I'll cut the thread and leave it about 2 inches long so that I'm able to do those 3 knots and really secure each section really, really well. And so 1, 2, 3, ta-da, clip it. And here we go again. 1, 2, 3, and clip it. 1 section done, 1 to go. So lining it up really carefully so that the crisscross really looks good. And so we're just doing exactly the same as we did before. Get to the end and I'll knot both 2-inch segments of thread. Make sure that it's nice and secure at both ends of the section I've just sewn. And let's take a look. Yeah, it looks good. Ta-da! No, really. Ta-da! It's almost perfect. So I've made it this far without really looking at any instructions. Let's just keep going. What would happen if I do this? I think that looks good. Let's just sew it, and if it doesn't work, then we'll take the thread out. There. Yeah, I think that looks good. Let's go really fast and see how this is going to turn out. I think that works. Ouch. I'm really struggling with the thread coming through the heaviness of the cotton again. Okay, just pinch it and ouch. Pull, pull, pull. Come on. There. Okay.